Today I have Kayasa with me, and she is going to explore and tell us more about her motherhood, entrepreneurial, and relationship journey. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what kind of business you are in, and what the mission is behind doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Kayasa Facen, and I am the owner of Sanco Education LLC. And what we do is we help businesses, and specifically education businesses, make the back end easier so that they can focus on their mission. My family comes from education entrepreneurship. We have 3 franchise locations in the education space, and my mom's been doing it for like 25 years. So I started officially consulting her at like 13. I'd be like, why are you doing things this way? Like, you should do it this way. I'm working in the center, both with the students directly and, in the back end, helping her with events and things like that. So I come from a family of entrepreneurship, but my goal is to make that journey easier. I see lots of education entrepreneurs who they have a mission, they want to teach what they're experts at, but the back end gets very messy very quickly because the focus is on their mission and their students and not their business and the health of their business and their time management, because there's certain things that just have to get done. And there's certain things that you have to do in order to further your mission. You have to have a sales process. You have to be tracking, who's interacting with your content and your information and continuing to reach out to them even after they haven't enrolled with your program. So I help make that easier for entrepreneurs in general, but specifically my mission is with education entrepreneurs.
Okay. Can you explain more about what does the business entail?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the education piece where we give free education through YouTube. We also help entrepreneurs in specific franchises with a CRM that we have that is tailored to specific niches in the education space. And then we also do consulting for education businesses. And specifically, we work on the system, so those back end systems. So how do we make it so that your paperwork is easy and all of the
organization, right?
Yes, that organization. Are you reaching out to them if they don't show up? How do we do that without you having to call and send emails? And just literally the way we do it is we just swipe their tile, like a tile with that customer's name on that journey, to the next phase. And they should immediately, if they haven't shown up for an appointment or something like that, get, hey, you haven't shown up. We miss you. Would you like to reschedule? And not just one email. They should be getting like 6 emails at least because people are busy and they forget and they don't see it. And in addition to that, can they get a phone call? Can you do an email, a voicemail drop where it just drops a voicemail in their inbox, without you actually having to dial them? So it looks like a missed call or a text, depending on your business, depending on how you're wanting to communicate. And I think that's also a conversation. I think right now, so many entrepreneurs, we see all the things that we can do. But one of the things that I like to talk to entrepreneurs about is, how do you want to communicate? Because if you're not an email person and you'd rather text, well, okay, let's shift the request for responses to text message versus email. You still have to look at your email, unfortunately, but we can shift it so that it's easier for you to work. Or maybe we say, hey, if somebody replies to this email, you're going to get a text notification. Hey, somebody replied to this email. Go check it.
So would you call this system more like the equivalent of a virtual assistant, but the back end version of it that does it for you on autopilot?
Yes. So yes, it's doing it on autopilot. And again, it depends on the nature of your business, because sometimes we are just setting up notifications for you to do something that can't be done on autopilot. Sometimes we can set up that system to just go on autopilot without you until they've booked their next appointment or enrolled or whatever the thing might be. But as much as possible, we want to take that off of the entrepreneur, but to also keep it personal. So, sometimes it's not setting up an automated system. Sometimes it's just setting up a system for the entrepreneur to follow. Here are the tools that you're going to use. Here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. And this is how we're going to do this. And this is how we're going to do it until we can offload it to someone else.
Mhm.
And this is when we can offload it to someone else. So systems, I think a lot of times people, especially now, they think of, I can put it in AI, I can automate it, which we want to do as much as possible.
That's true. That's true. Because a lot of
But
people get, and as we now know, the fortune isn't enough in the follow up. So I mean, and that makes sense. I like what you're doing. I like what you're doing.
Thank you. So yeah, it's very customized to the entrepreneur themselves and the type of business and education business that they are running. Because I expect different follow-up when my kid is, supposed to be learning a specific thing versus if I have signed up virtually for a series of webinars on finances. Like I expect different follow-up, so those things don't look the same.
Wow. So since I met you, I was drawn to your energy, and you have this soul that is just so wise. I don't know, maybe because you are very knowledgeable or because you've lived previous lifetimes. I don't know what it is. But there's just this thing that you have about being so knowledgeable, about knowing certain people. Because I mean, you're so knowledgeable. You have this aura, this energy about you that is just out of this world. And I don't know what it is, but people are just drawn to you in some shape or form. So tell me, before this business, who were you? And like, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, the biggest inspiration was my mom. She's been doing this for 25 years and she's been doing it out of the goodness of her heart. Like she came from being an engineer. So pretty much the whole time that she has done her education business, it was because I and my siblings needed help. And she was driving us an hour to get the help that we needed before she opened her franchise. So a lot of that comes from her and seeing not only her success, but also the things that have been challenging for her. I played sports, so I've always been very, you can improve. Like you just have to practice, you have to learn, you have to get your reps in.
Yeah.
So when I went to school, I ended up studying economics and entrepreneurship, of course. And so that entrepreneurship program was a lot of fun. And then when I got out of college, I went and worked for Domino's Pizza, where at the end of the program that I was with them, I was operating 7 stores down in Miami, which was fun. So it was all about figuring out like how to get the job done efficiently and how to work with people that are from all different backgrounds, have all different skill levels, are at different points in their careers to, get this machine to work well. And one of the things that I did really well at and I excelled at was getting young drivers and CSRs to actually get promoted into management roles.
Wow.
So that was something that that was all the things. Yeah, of all the things that that I did in that role, that was like the thing that I was most proud of, because it was taking, mostly just because of the nature of the business, young men, many of them who had children or who hadn't finished school or who weren't going to college, and saying, okay, that's fine. What do you want? And how can I help you get there? And just being 100% honest with them and saying, hey, look, you don't have to want to be here forever, but let me help you get to your next step. And that's what I really want to do here in this business as well, is what is your next step? You might not, you want to get to that next income goal. You want to get to that next project, but what can we do right now to help you get to your next step? I opened the Kumon Center with my brother after being frustrated with corporate and not just seeing a lot of things that I was like, I don't want that for myself within, how things were working at that time. And so we opened our after school math and reading program in Lakeland, and that was an amazing journey. And then I said, I want to do more. I love working with the kids, but I want to do more. I want to have an impact on actual business owners so that more people can do this work and do it for longer and do it with more benefits, whether that's time freedom, money, because at the end of the day, there's so many educators who have to go back to corporate because they haven't found a way to make the business out of their mission. And so that's what I want to help people do.
That's so true. And a lot of people are feeling that pain point right now. I just want to go back because you mentioned that you started this business with your brother.
Yeah, so we actually opened the first business that I opened
Yes.
was a franchise location, and yeah, I opened it with my brother. So we opened it together. We've both been very involved in this franchise because both my parents own a franchise, and then me and my brother own another franchise location.
Oh
So
my.
we opened that together, and we're still business partners now, but he deals with all the day to day. So we've transitioned it from both of us working day to day to he pretty much handles all of the day to day.
Okay, so let's unpack that. I'm getting into more detail because I mean, I I know there's a lot of people that want to work with family, but there's this thing where people believe that you cannot mix business with family because there's so many, dramatic issues. There's, competition. So just give us like a glimpse into like that life and like that relationship and how it's supported, you know, into that form.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the first thing to say on that is you shouldn't do business with all family.
Hmm.
I think that's key. I think making it general, I think that's really unfair. But there is also a reason that came about. So for example, there are certain people in my family who I will never be in business with. Like I will give you advice. Um, I will give you resources, but we will not necessarily ever be partners. And
Okay.
that's okay. So I think the first thing to do is you have to look at the relationship and whether that relationship can withstand this additional thing.
Mhm.
Is this a person that you can give grace to and that gives grace to you? Because if not, that's going to be really, really hard because mistakes are going to get made. You guys are going to disagree on how to move forward. I mean, even with my brother, I mean, when we switched over to him working the day to day, I got frustrated. But, it's about giving that grace and saying, you know what? I became a partner with you because I trust you and because I know you're competent. And I think that's another thing I think that's another place that people get frustrated is the competency piece.
Mhm.
You should not be putting a family member in a role that that they don't have the ability to become competent in, or not even the ability, but the willingness and the ability. You have to have both. And I think you also have to give yourself grace too. My mom has hired many of family members. I would say 30% of them have worked out, and some of those are to like, say it again.
So she's really good at delegation and like, seeing people's potential and putting them into that scope of work or position.
Yeah, and I'd say most of those people came in working as, basically like an entry level role,
Hmm.
right? And some people had moved up to, different levels and got raises and things like that. Some people have become, business partners with her, like she's invested in them and helped them with their business.
Hmm.
But you don't, she never started there, right? The family members that she has helped beyond just, hey, I'll give you a chance. I'm going to hold you to the same standard that I hold all my employees with. And she's fired some family members. She's let go of a few nephews and nieces that, weren't performing. And so you have to be willing to do that as well if you're going to work with family.
I
But in terms of the
love that.
partnership piece, you really have to have a conversation about what the roles are. Um,
Mhm.
because we did, like when we first opened the center, it was our center, but we weren't necessarily splitting the task 50-50. Like I was the instructor and my brother was helping with specific things. Like he had his things that he was doing. But when it came down to who was going to have the final say in something, it was me.
Mhm.
We established that from the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, and it's changed. So now that he's dealing with the day to day, at the end of the day, it's his decision. I
Mhm.
make suggestions. I say, hey, I think we should do this. But at the end of the day, he handles the day to day.
Wow.
And so I
So,
think that's important.
so tell me, the defining moment. I'm just assuming here, the defining moment for you to actually go fully into this venture with your brother was when you were just fed up and done with corporate. Was that the moment?
Yeah, yeah. And more specifically, it was that they were trying to funnel me into a role that I knew I didn't want. and even after advocating and saying, no, that's not what I wanted. That's not what we agreed to. That's not, the conversations we've been having for the past year and a half. And so once we kind of got to the point where it was like, hey, we are not going to put you in the type of role that you want. I said, okay, no problem. And I knew that the location that we opened was available. Yes. And so we went into that business. My brother was working with my parents really closely. So I was, having conversations with him and said, hey, like, I want to do this. Do you want to do this with me? These are the areas that like, I know I need help with, and I don't necessarily want to do all on my own. And that was exactly where his expertise and skill set was and what he was doing at the time. So,
wow. I would say that is a really fortunate, position to be in, because
100%.
Not a lot of family members actually have that privilege to, and I would say privilege and luxury, because a lot of family members are all scattered and they all are doing their own thing and they want to have their own, thing to own. Mm-hmm. And wow, your family is really beautiful.
Thank you. I have to give, a lot of the credit to my mom, because she's really, we have always been involved in the business. And that's one of the things that I think has made a huge difference for us. Being in business together, yes, it was new because we were officially in business together, but our entire family has always been involved in my mom's business. We've worked there. I remember I would actually go like in my, dance clothes or, tennis clothes, and like, okay, now I have to go to practice or something, but I'd be working until it was time,
To build that generational wealth. I love that.
Yeah. And so we'd been working together before that. We'd sat down at the table and had discussions about the business, about the students, about, how can we do this or that better? So that partnership was not completely new, because my mom had fostered that in our family, through time.
Can you also share what were the biggest challenges that you faced in your earlier stages before actually getting to where you are right now?
Ooh, I think, I would say one of the biggest challenges that I face, and I still face, is really advocating for myself. I will advocate for other people very well. And I can see all the things that, they're doing well and how they should give themselves grace, and that they should just go for it. So I can see that in other people, but sometimes I don't give myself that same encouragement and that same grace. And I think that's been my biggest challenge, is really giving myself like taking the same advice that I give others. And more so in terms of like taking the chance. Because I have multiple, friends and people. I'm like, take the chance, like take the leap. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is like taking those chances, taking that leap for myself and my business. And just knowing that like, hey, if it doesn't work, it's okay. And, hey, look, you can kind of pick back up depending on what you're doing. You can pick back up, and that's okay. So I would just say being brave and putting myself out there is really what it comes down to. And that's what I mean by taking that leap, like putting myself out there. Like I let the work speak, but I don't always, do things like this and kind of share my successes and share my knowledge. And, I do very good on that, like one-on-one, like when we met, but in like a bigger space, that's something that I'm working on. It's something that I'm starting to do a little bit more.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. So based on Kayasa version before, now version 2.0, tell me, now that you are a mother, because motherhood looks beautiful on you.
Thank you, on you too.
I saw you, it's like, wow. You have, like I said, you have this beautiful aura about you, and you're so knowledgeable. And I know that this knowledge and this beautiful package of a woman that you have become is going to be passed down to your daughter. And Now, how does that relationship feel between you and your husband? Who is this new Kayasa, the mother?
Yeah, I'm still figuring that out. She is still developing. She is still under construction. Um, yeah, I don't really have an answer for that. Like I don't want to I don't want to I try and be very careful about being honest because I think especially now in the age of social media, it's so easy to say I've got it all figured out. Like, no, I've got a couple things figured out, but like we're
Yeah.
still trying to figure out there's still a lot that I'm trying to figure out. So
And the relationship with your husband, how has that grown? Has that been a different dynamic? How is that?
oh, 100%. I think for us, we went very quickly from, when we got married to having a baby, and that was by plan. Um, so there was a lot, the past 2 years, it's been constant change. And I think, I'm so grateful to have a husband and a partner that is growing with me and that is allowing me to grow and giving me grace to figure things out and make mistakes and evolve because really it is an evolution because there are so many things that I like, even with all the discussions that we had about marriage and children and life, like there are so many things that I'm like, oh, yeah, we did not talk about that. Or I could have never even guessed that that would be, a thing or an issue. But I'm just lucky to have someone who's supportive and who, we have the conversations and who, we've gotten to know each other on a level like sometimes like with motherhood and business, like. And like I said, I say this because I want people to know that like the social media image of an entrepreneur and a mom that's just got it all together and is, firing on all cylinders, on everything, doing everything perfectly and feeling great about her life and feeling great about everything and feeling great about her body and feeling great about her mental health. Like I haven't met that woman yet.
Me too.
Right? In real life.
Kim Kardashian, but then in the background, you see people on babysitting, they are cooking, they are cleaning, they're doing her makeup, they are training her to get fit and in shape. That snatched look, she's got help. She's got help. Like a lot of people around her. She's got her sister, she's got her mother, she's got other people around her. So they do truly say that it does take a village to raise a child. But one thing they never talk about is the relationship between you and your partner and how that, has changed or becomes a different type of dynamic when you have a child. So tell me, what are the meaningful support that you receive from your partner? And what does it look like on a day to day?
Depends on the day. Let's say just the other night, he noticed my mood was not normal. I was upset about something. He's like, what's upsetting you? Like, I noticed you're upset. You didn't say anything, but like, what's going on? She's like, yeah, I'm stressed about a few things. And it's also me being able to say like, okay, yes, this is something that's really bothering me and share it. And sometimes be able to say, yeah, there's just a lot going on. I overreacted a little bit. I just got upset and overwhelmed. And it's actually not something that needs a fix. It's just, I just needed to take a deep breath and take some time. It's also about communication. Our schedule has changed a lot with the baby, and I'm so lucky to have someone who's like supportive and like as that schedule has needed to change, has been like, okay, that's what we need to do. Okay. This is what this is what I need. This is what you need. Okay. How can we make both of these things happen within the time that we have and with the schedules that we have? And, so yeah, I think some of it has just been support for me personally because I think it's important to have support as a mother, but it's also important to support each other as spouses. And so I don't think that that's as easy as TV makes it seem, but we are day by day adjusting and working through things and having conversations and learning to, yeah, just work through it and talk through it and adjust, because you can think that the solution is X, and once X is happening, you're like, actually, I need X plus one, or I need something
I
different.
noticed that you have mentioned that, but like, I'm sure you've noticed two different things between the both of you. What are your strengths that you see that complement each other? The way, you know how you do like a tag team or a marathon race, running the and trying to catch the baton, and someone's like, "Okay, I got it," so they run after it, and then they, go to the finish line, and that's how the team should be. But like,
Yeah.
what strengths have you noticed between what your husband picked up compared to what you do?
Yeah. So my husband is very, um, he's very structured, and he is very much, okay, we said we're going to do it, we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I said I was going to do this, I'm going to do it. And I got lots of ideas. I have lots and lots and lots of ideas. So I think for one of the biggest things is that he holds me accountable. So I have had to really learn as well to say, okay, this is what I'm doing, but also say, you know what? I'm thinking about this. This is just an idea.
Yep.
So this is just an idea. I'm just throwing this out here because, and I think that that's helped me personally too, and in motherhood, to say, okay, every good idea does not have to be acted upon, and allowed me to slow down and say, is this a decision or is this an idea? Because sometimes I have held myself to an idea that was not truly, truly a decision. And then I get stressed, like, hey, why can't I do all the things? Like, because that was an idea, not a decision. And so I think that's I think that's a huge thing that has affected me as a mom, but also just as a person in general. And I think that's the thing, is that so many of the things that I see in him as a partner or as a parent, it also affects me personally. Like even just watching him with our daughter, and how, sometimes I can be like, oh my gosh, wait, we got to be soft, we got to be gentle, we got to be, and then like she's 10 months, and the other day he said, come here. And she came, I was like, oh. I was like, oh, okay. And here I am like, oh my gosh, no. And so I think, I think that in any marriage, there's two people that you have your strengths, you have your weaknesses, you have the things that you both gravitate to, and you have your lived experiences. And I think it's just, and that's why it's so hard for me to be like, oh, it's this thing, because it's more than just like one specific thing. It's just all these things that you notice. And I just, we just try and take the moment and say, oh, okay.
Give me an example.
I didn't think about that.
Who cooks and who takes turns to like clean or make the bed up or something like that?
Okay, gotcha. So both. So we both have like things that we are in charge of. So for example, he's in charge of laundry, I'm in charge of dishes. We both cook. We try and communicate. Like 2 weekends ago, we were like, hey, the house needs some help. We're gonna spend this weekend like trying to just knock out as much as we can and get it back in, get it back in order. So we both tag teamed. If he sees that like, hey, like the dishes are piling up because I haven't gone to it, he'll load the dishwasher. And if, I know like, hey, like right now we're in swim classes, I'm going to throw, the stuff that we need washed right away into the washing machine so that, he's not having to go and find it, So one of the things that I did, just because this is how my brain works, it is not how his brain works, but it is how my brain worked. I actually have a spreadsheet of household tasks, and it's assigned because again, I like systems and I like to have, the visuals. So
I get you.
A spreadsheet. Yeah. And it's okay. Is this task ideally done weekly, monthly, daily? And about how much time do we spend doing it? And that helped us split the tasks. And then this way, we can actually see like, okay, about in an ideal week, how much time is being spent on this versus that, or how much time is he supposed to be spending on household tasks versus me spending on household tasks. And that helps so that it's like everything's not on one person and you know who's in charge of it, even if it's not 100% done by that person, because life is never, you know, a 50-50 on a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet does not reflect the real life.
True.
But yeah, I heard about like this idea of like putting everything in a spreadsheet or putting everything on paper and saying, okay, let's split it up so that that works. And that's actually something that we did even before, like well before we had, not as formally, but he hates doing dishes. I said, okay, cool, no problem. I have not, I think I've cleaned the bathroom twice as well, like since we've been together. I don't clean the bathrooms. That's his
right. You know, everybody has a preference of what they prefer to do. Which you're comfortable, or you know, not necessarily. I wouldn't say chores are comfortable. I would just say it's a necessity.
100%, it is a necessity.
Until you have such an abundance of money to afford hiring, you know, help.
Exactly. So yeah, I would say if anybody's trying to do that, like put it all down on paper, put it all down on a spreadsheet, and like divvy it up. And we have come back to that and been like, hey, like the laundry that he's now in charge of, that was not originally on his to-do list. That was not originally on his task list. It was put on his task list after we had the baby, and I was like, hey, this task list does not account for all of the things that came with this child. I need help. I need to adjust this. And so we adjusted and adjusted some tasks. So yeah, I mean, it's really just about having a partner and having those conversations. And sometimes they're not comfortable or fun.
It has to be done. It has to be done. And now that you have a child, I mean, your energy and your love that you have when you had for your partner now has to be, you know, synced together. I wouldn't say more or less than. I would just say it has to be equally positioned, so to say, so that everybody doesn't feel like one is getting more attention than the other. And I noticed in most relationships when there's a child, we all say, oh, this baby, this beautiful baby, you know, so adorable. And then next moment you forget your partner because he's in it with you and you don't see the outside looking in. You're in the bubble and you're like, oh, this is so cute. This is so adorable. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would say that that's something that, I mean, I think everything ebbs and flows. I think in the first year of parenthood,
yes,
you know, I won't say that we found the balance that's going to work long term in that, just because, I mean, it's a different stage, and we've been figuring out a lot of things. But one thing, you know, we do a weekly walk that we have every week. We go for a walk together, you know, outside. We go find, you know, a park or a trail or something like that. And so having those consistent things that we do, you know, for some people it might be, you know, weekly date nights, but for us, that walk has been, you know, a connector. And I'm so fortunate. Like, I will get bogged down in all the things, but he is definitely the one that's like, hey, we're gonna go do this thing. Or he's like, I think a lot of times it's him like planning the date nights, or like, hey, let's go, you know, do something nice, or planning something nice. That actually does fall on him a lot more than me. And I'm super grateful for that.
I think that's beautiful, because I mean, like, when you find someone that takes charge of just the necessity things, and then you like, okay, I have room to do whatever it is I can do without being encumbered with, you know, other things that are part of our daily life. And it's beautiful. I like that. So wait, let me just rephrase the question. If you ever have like a disagreement between where there's a business and a personal issue that overlaps, how do you know, navigate around that? Because I know a lot of people have such issues, but no one really discusses how they, you know, find a common ground between something that you'd both disagree upon when it comes to business and personal overlapping?
So I think part of it is that my husband and I are not, my husband is not necessarily very interested, or not to say interested, but he leaves the business to me. So really where it overlaps is when it comes to time and finances.
Okay.
If the finances are shifting, then that is a conversation that, like, besides just him supporting me as, hey, I had a hard day, or hey, this happened, or how was your day? Like actually making like business decisions. Like he definitely makes suggestions and reminds me of things like, hey, did you make that phone call? You said you had to make a phone call. Did you do it? Like things like that.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
But for me, it feels like more like he's supporting me. And then, yes, because business and personal life is going to overlap. So when it comes to like joint decisions, it's more of that overlap piece where, we've had to set timelines. Like I've had ventures that have not gone, that have failed. Like, let's just be real, entrepreneurship, everything is not going to work out. And I have had ventures that have not, have taken up a lot of time, but have not produced a lot of income. Mm-hmm. And so with something like that, we set a boundary. We said, hey, if this isn't ramping up by this date, then something needs to change, mm-hmm. And here are the ideas of what that could be. But if at this date, you need to start putting these other things in place. And if it hasn't worked out by this date, then, we kind of need to, he's never asked me to like quit something, but like, hey, like we need to focus on, what's going to benefit our family and make sure that our family is secure and our finances are secure. Yeah. So I think, like I said, I think it really comes down to support and having those conversations. And, for us, where that clash has more so been in like the overlap of business and finances and family. Mm-hmm. And we've set milestones or set dates where, hey, we're giving this much time. And if this doesn't happen, then here's what we're going to do. Or here's what you're going to have to change or do, or whatever it might be. And yeah, that's fair because I mean, my job is much more changing and volatile and has a lot more shifts.
Yeah, that's true. And because you're still also breastfeeding, right?
Yeah.
So yes, it changes. But you have to work around your schedule and your, availability and be flexible around that. And I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I want to know, how do you stay, connected? How do you stay connected, and what do you both do to protect your relationship from like outside noise?
I mean, have the conversation when the outside noise is coming in. I think we've definitely had to work through that in the first few years of marriage. It was very clustered towards the very beginning when, right after marriage, where you're like bringing two families together, and then there's these different family dynamics and different people and different thought processes. And I think that's where we had to have a lot more conversations of like, okay, this is the norm over here. This is the norm over here. What do we want where do we want to fall, and what are we okay with, or how do we want to handle it moving forward? And I think, I think it comes down to having the conversations, but I also think it comes down to protecting the energy and the people around you. Like, we are so fortunate to have, like, we don't have anybody in our close circle who's not rooting for us.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a blessing. Wow. Like, so there's like, even with all of the, discussions that have had to happen, it's never come from, it's all people are rooting for us. People have, it might not be what we need or what we want, or we might have to set boundaries and, all of those things. But we're fortunate that like nobody in our inner, like we haven't had anybody in our inner circle who's not wanting the best for us. And so that makes it a lot easier. to have those discussions. And I mean, I know that there are people who deal with that a lot more than we have. So, I mean, we've just been blessed in terms of like the outside forces that we deal with
Yeah.
are people who love us, you know, and they'll still have to be dealt with. But I think that it's a lot easier to do that when truly people, you know, care about us both and are rooting for our marriage and are rooting for our family to be successful, to be happy, to be healthy.
Have you ever felt as a mother now that you're a new mother, have you ever felt this mental, emotional overwhelm?
Yes, 100%, 100%. Yes. And how to deal with that, I'm still working on that. Like that is something I am actively working on. It's something that I do struggle with. So yeah, I'm actively working on how to manage that day to day, week to week. Yeah, I'm that's something that I'm actively working on, working to improve.
Agreed. I think I had I had a whole mental, not breakdown per se, because I don't believe in breaking down. I believe in like keep going. And I think my keep going mentality caused me to burn out. And I think I was out for about 2 days too long. To me, 2 days is being sick. When you are out 2 days or even 3, you are basically sick. So I think for me, that was like my deepest, darkest moment that I allowed myself to have, to just let it go. To just let it go. I don't also condone for myself. I don't allow myself to like lash out on people or, you know, blame people for how I'm feeling. I realize it, but I speak to God and I like just let it out. And my perfect place to do that is in the shower. Now, there's an issue. There's no boundaries for me. Now that my daughter walks, she walks in on me in the bathroom, whether I'm showering or doing, you know, 1 or number 2, doesn't matter. She's there. I just want to know, what boundaries have you set in play? I know your daughter's not like there fully yet, but like, what boundaries have you put in play for your husband as well as family members to just protect that piece of space that you need to keep for yourself?
I'm working on that. I think for me, it's little by little. Like for example, there's one day of the week where I don't go into the office, and you know that's something that we had to add in is like, hey, I need you. Not only do I need you to take her, I'm going to leave the house because I think I have a hard time with like if I hear her cry. If I hear her crying or whatever, I'm like, oh my gosh, is she hungry? Does she need this? Like, what, babe, you got it. So that day, like, I literally just have to leave the house. I go to a coffee shop. And that has been so nice. That has been so nice to just go to a coffee shop, get a coffee, and I'll be there for like, you know, 3 to 4 hours, just working on my deep work. Because I'm not in the office. Like, it's just me. And she's good, and I'm not there, and there's nothing to clean, and there's nothing to do at the coffee shop but sit with your computer and drink your coffee and do whatever you went there to do. So, yes.
Find a hiding
spot. Seriously. And like that's like I'm fortunate enough, like I actually have an office in our house. So like, yes, I do. But like it wasn't working. Like there's a playpen right here next to me. I'm in the office right now, but there's a playpen next to me. And again, it's nothing. I think sometimes too, like I mean, we have to know our own strengths and weaknesses and acknowledge them. If I'm in the house, like I'm still there's still things happening, and he will have full control. He's fine. She's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because I can hear her crying.
Yep, that's true. That's so true.
Like, it could be that he put her down to like make her food, and she's crying, but that's where my brain is at, because I can't help it.
You've been programmed that way ever since, and now because you're breastfeeding, I don't know. I can't speak for people who feed formula, for mothers who feed formula, but when you're breastfeeding, I think like the bond is so much more closer, more spiritual. And when even like this morning, I was in the shower and I decided to tune out everybody and everything, even the air ventilation or air conditioner and the fan. I used my headphones and I put it in my ears, and I put it so deep in there so that I just like closed everybody out. But here's the thing. I played some music, which I have this like playlist that I play every morning. And then I still somehow heard her cry. And each time I tried to open up the door, nothing. Fast asleep, doing nothing, just out, just asleep. But somehow I still hear her crying. And I'm like, get it together, find your inner peace, relax, calm down, take a chill pill. And I'm trying to coach myself and encourage myself to just be in the moment, just live in this moment. This is your time, this is your moment. Take it where you can get it. You have to take it where you can get it. And I had to learn that this is my new life. This is a life that I have to be accustomed to and not go back or think back. What if this, or what could this have changed?
Yeah.
I had to learn that the old version of me no longer exists, and I have to be comfortable and get ready. Not even get ready. I already got ready. That's what 9 months of pregnancy is all about, getting ready. That I am here now, and I made that decision. And as a woman in business, I had to not necessarily kill off that woman, but I had to kill off the girl. I had to change the girl mindset and become a grown woman and say, okay, Amy, this is the new you, and this version of you that has become is no longer. She has changed. She has grown into this form. I just want to know, how has entrepreneurship and motherhood, now they call it mompreneurs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you align or resonate with that term, but how do you feel about that role?
I guess for me, I hear the term, I like the term. It doesn't make me feel anything personally, which is, I mean, everybody, and it's not like a knocking it thing. It's just, I think my life experience, I think maybe because I grew up with it, maybe because for me, I mean, I think for me, entrepreneurship gives me a flexibility, a time flexibility that I frequently have to remind myself that I'm so grateful of. Like, I have started like a gratitude, like in my, planning journal, where I like plan like the tasks that I need. The first thing on that page is 3 things that I'm grateful for. Yeah. And constantly it's like, I have the ability to do things that I wouldn't have the ability to do if I had a strict 9 to 5 schedule. And I'm grateful for that. But I think all the things that we do as entrepreneurs, I think there's an extra level of risk that we take, a level of stress that comes from not having that stable monthly income versus a corporate job. Yeah. But there's also the benefit that, I mean, my daughter's swim classes every day for 2 weeks at 10:30, and I can do that. Yeah. So I think those are trade-offs. So the whole, like, I mean, it's just being a mom. It's just being a mom and working, and it's being a working mom. So for me, the whole like mompreneur versus working, like I don't see any difference in those things. It's just I'm self-employed.
I get that.
But I've been that way for a long time. So it doesn't really bring up anything in me personally.
So,
Yeah.
because a lot of women haven't prepared as well as you have, there are some women that have not prepared as well as you have. And there are women out there that will be watching this. I just would like to find out from you, for those women who are watching and don't have it all figured out, what would you tell them about being a mom, first of all, then a businesswoman, second of all, and a woman married or in a relationship with their partner?
Nobody has it figured out, including me. Like, I think, so that's the first thing I would say, because I think, and I deal with this as well. I have to remind myself that as soon as you start to compare yourself to someone else, remember that their situation is completely different from yours.
Yeah.
And you are only seeing a fraction of what is happening, right? So even with you and I, like, you're only seeing a fraction and I'm only seeing a fraction.
Yeah.
So like I mean, you don't know that, like, sometimes I cry at the kitchen table and I'm like, oh, what is happening? And like you shared, like, sometimes, like, you had, like, that's something that we're sharing here, but like, so to compare yourself to someone else and be like, oh, they have it all figured out, like, do they though? But at the same time, if somebody has something figured out that you don't, like, feel free to ask, like, try and get that, so, or work on that specific piece. Just don't do it in a comparative way. That would, and again, that is me saying the advice that I also need to continue to take. I am not perfect in that. So I would just, that's the biggest thing, is like, I think finding those little things that have worked for me have been more of an internal journey. And I think that we need to remember that, like, this is, as much as it is a community and it's good to go out and find people doing the things, find people giving the advice, talk to, if you have access to your mom, your grandma, and all those things. It's also an internal journey. And sometimes you just have to be like, okay, this is working for me, even though it looks weird, even though nobody else, does it. For example, we have the strollers and things like that. But one of the things that I've loved doing is putting her in her, what do you call those things? Carrier. And I literally go out with my little umbrella because we live in Florida and it's hot. So I literally have my umbrella and I'm walking around with the baby on the carrier, walking around. And that's been really nice, right? Is that something that I'm like seeing everybody doing? No, but guess what? It works for me, and I probably look weird because I don't change into workout clothes. And, sometimes it's just, a mismatched pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt and 2 mismatched socks, like, and that's okay. And that's okay.
Yep,
So I think I would just say, find what works for you and find those little things that you enjoy and practice gratitude. I think that's the biggest thing, is just practice gratitude, because something is going well.
Yep.
Right? Everything could be on fire, but your baby's healthy. Yep. Everything could be on fire, but you have support. The fact that we have carriers that don't require me to figure out how to, do all that wrapping. Just, practice gratitude for the things that are going well. And also know that, like, in previous times, you compare yourselves to the mothers in your community who had similar resources, similar access. Right now, we are comparing ourselves to people we don't know what their situation is. We don't know what their resources are. And we're seeing a snapshot. We're not seeing them in their everyday life. So I think we just have to be careful, because, even on, you, and this is something that I had to kind of get off of, like, all of, like, mom advice on social media and YouTube. Like, I kind of had to step away from, I had to, like, actively be like, okay, you gotta stop watching this back, because
I'm so glad that you have this family that you can go to that is so supportive, You have a partner that is also supportive, and a lot of people don't have that, but there is, light, and there's always, always someone that you can speak to. And
Yeah.
like you're right about it. When you go to social media, you don't get the full essence or the substance of what truly happened and how things go down
It's
when
one
you're
o'clock.
breastfeeding. Um I I had to go to so many different resources. It was unbelievable. I stopped going to social media because everybody's comments about my post was like, okay, it's enough. I'm done. I'm done. So I had to go to a real person. And when I found out from this real person that it's all about just letting it go, your body, trust your body, trust your body. And I was told constantly, trust your body. It will come. It will happen. And I didn't. And I froze up. And the moment I just let go and surrendered, and I said, okay, I trust my body. And that was the moment. The next day, I started feeling that, milk was coming out. And I was like, yes! I celebrated so loud. I think the neighbors could hear me.
No, yes.
That was a massive breakthrough for me because, as a mother specifically, you feel basically incompetent or like you're useless if your body's not working for you. And I don't know how it feels for men, but I have an idea. They change too, but we just don't talk about it, or they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And eventually, I'll have Hiru on another podcast talking about, his journey as a father or becoming a father. I mean, he's been a father before, but this is a different case.
Yeah.
This is new. So, I mean, I'm just curious before I close this off, how how has your partner been? What have you seen? What changes have you seen in him from husband to father?
I think I would say, I think one of the biggest things is just his perspective.
Mhm.
I think for him specifically, um, I think having a daughter has just made him aware of so many, not even aware. It's not an awareness. These are not things that he was unaware of,
Mhm.
but um,
It got amplified.
um, I think connected with.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we know things, but then when you have a child, it's like, okay, this is real. Like, okay, you know these things that I do have, you know, we had theory around it, we had conversations around it, but now it's like, oh my gosh, like
Mhm.
watching that happen. And so I think one of the most fun things to see is like the softness in him. Um, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just so like, it's like so heartwarming just to see and I think the nurturing side, especially for fathers, sometimes gets a little overlooked,
Mm,
because it looks different.
yeah.
His nurturing looks different than my nurturing, but that's beautiful
Mhm.
and necessary because that's
True.
and so I think that has been really fun to watch, and I think that, and this is something that we've always had conversations about, but like, um, just finding time to give each other what the other person needs.
Mhm.
And it's something that I think we're still working on doing better. Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, like I'm so grateful. Like I said, watching him become a father has been like heartwarming and beautiful.
Mhm.
But I also feel so fortunate because like it's not like a surprise. It's not like there hasn't been like there's been things that have been unexpected, but there's nothing that's like, oh my gosh, he's had a 180 because he's the man I married, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that, having those conversations and having that connection, you know what? Let me say it this way, very much simpler. And this is something that I've believed for a very long time. Like, I don't believe that people do 180 changes. And having a child has not 180 changed either of us. It has amplified some things. It has put things in perspective. And it has allowed us to grow in some areas. And so for me, it's been fun watching him grow as a father, watching him, have these minor shifts. But I'm also fortunate to say that, like, to be a great dad, he didn't need to do a 180 because he was like, when we got married, we married each other knowing and having confidence that we married a great parent, because that was part of our plan, so yeah. And I think that's why it's hard for me to sometimes answer these questions, because for me, I truly have a belief that people don't change. Like, people change, but typically for a big change, something incredible has to happen.
That's true.
And while having a child is incredible, I think for us, since this was a plan, this was very much planned, and very much something that we had conversations about before we committed to each other. It's not like there was like some 180, like, oh my gosh, we had to make this huge change, and that huge change was made, because it's been minor. It's been lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of little changes, lots and lots and lots of discussions, lots of adjustments, lots of putting things in perspective and having understanding of that, hey, we're not gonna agree on this, and how do we move forward? How do we reconcile it? How do we, do we make a decision together? And what things do we let go? What things are we gonna say, you know what? I have an opinion on that, but my opinion is not strong enough to make this a thing. And I'm okay with just
that you both can find a commonality between, even though your personalities, complement each other, you still find a commonality even when you disagree on something. So I'm
just know that that's not overnight, and sometimes, it, like I said, it doesn't. I want to make sure that people know, like, it doesn't always feel good, and it's not always like a smooth. Excuse me, it's not always a smooth ride, but I mean, I think that's one of the benefits that we have had. Like, for me, like, being very clear on what I wanted in a partner, that this was a partner, this was going to be the father of my children, this was going to be, my life partner.
That's something I definitely also want to ask you in another episode about that part right there, because I mean, not a lot of people, specifically women, not a lot of women, I'm speaking for women right now, because I can't speak for men. A lot of women don't know, they know what they don't want, but they don't know what they want. And they don't know how to request that to the universe and ask God and say, look, this is what I want, and then fall in that flow of it.
And I think that's so hard, because like, even after, like, even now, like, there are things that I notice in my husband, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Like I'll see, like, for example, like, things in him that, like, I'm like, my brother, like, that reminds me of my brother, or like, that reminds me of my dad, and I'm like, oh my gosh, ew, did I, like, clearly these weren't things that I was looking for, like, they weren't on the paper, but then it's like, interesting, like, like, just seeing those commonalities, or like, and again, like, you can plan as much as you want, it's not going to work out exactly how you plan it. Like,
I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah, so I mean, I think
to the T.
Like, we have things that we are working through that we would have never expected. We have things that are going amazing that I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that as a thing to discuss or look for. And I think part of it is just trusting yourself and trusting the big things, and then also understanding that some of the little things are going to fall in place miraculously, and some of them are not going to fall in place.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that that's not your person. And I think that that's something that I've seen in my age group, especially with the advent of social media. Like, oh my gosh, everything's going to be hunky-dory. And as soon as there's a small thing, and it's like I've literally had these discussions with people that I know or friends, and I'm like, I don't why is that a big deal?
You
Like,
know?
that sounds like human behavior. It could be like, I understand why it's annoying, but like,
there's nothing to break up about, you know.
yeah, we're talking about humans. So,
Gosh.
you know,
Yeah,
I think there's that balance, like knowing what's really important to you, and also like, and I think once I was very clear on what was important, then the things that aren't as important, even if they are incredibly frustrating, it's also the perspective that like the big things are being hit, you know, and even those things that I find annoying, you know, being with someone who, you know, it's not coming from a negative place, you know, it's not coming from a bad place, and that we can have discussions about it, even if it's going to take time for us to work on getting to a place in that particular area that is great. That's okay, because that's what relationships are, right? It is choosing someone to go through the ups and the downs with, and to grow with. And you're both going to grow, and you're both going to have things that switch up and change as you're in a relationship, because you're not going to stay the same, and neither is he, or neither is your partner.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kayasa. I thoroughly enjoyed this podcast. I I am so glad we did this.
Same here. Same here. And I'm excited to continue to see the podcast grow and the journey. And yeah, hopefully, you know, the different perspectives. You know, I'm excited to watch myself.